Hello, today we're at the Cardano Summit. I'm Ornella Hernandez and I'm here with Sebastian from Emurgo. How are you?
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much and thank you for inviting me.
I wanted to ask, how's it going so far at the Cardano Summit?
It's really amazing, I think. It's been an amazing event. Last year we had it in Switzerland, in Lausanne, and it's very excited to support also the Cardano communities in Asia region as well as Middle East. And Dubai is a very upcoming hotspot for Web3 with the support for the government to a large extent. So it's very exciting to be here, see what projects are, what kind of projects there are in this region, and how we also from a Cardano point of view can support the ecosystem itself.
All right, so tell me about the relationship between Emurgo and Cardano.
Okay, good question, and thank you for that. So when Cardano was formed somewhere about 2017, we wanted to really start off with a decentralized approach because Web3 and blockchain is all about decentralization.
Right. Isn't that everyone's goal?
It is everyone's goal, indeed. So what Cardano did was that they started off with three entities that had different responsibilities. One is Cardano Foundation, which really focuses on standardization of the protocol, maintaining the blockchain itself, speaking with regulatory bodies, as well as interacting with Web2 companies that have an interest in this space. We have IOG, who was the R&D arm of Cardano. They really built the blockchain itself. And then we have Emurgo that was set out as a responsibility to commercialize Cardano. So that is how they sort of operate different three responsibilities, but we're sort of working together in the same common goal.
All right, so you're a founding member of the Cardano ecosystem. And what does it mean to commercialize a public blockchain?
Yeah. So we are sort of focusing on a couple of core activities when it comes to commercialization as well as adoption of it. So one is we invest into projects within the Cardano ecosystem, not exclusively. We also help Web2 companies that transition into Web3, supporting them on that growth, as well as other Web3 companies from other chains that want to cross-chain, help support the Cardano ecosystem. So we do give out checks for that. We have two different teams within the investment side. So one, and both of them are industry agnostic, but one that focuses on the world opportunities and projects. One team who is based in Kenya and Dubai, who focus on projects only from the MENA region. Okay. So very dedicated to this kind of region to find projects. So investment is one of the areas.
How do you source the funding for these investments?
It's on our balance sheet. So currently it's all driven by our own balance sheet, our own money that we want to give out.
From donations?
Not from that. It's from the ICO itself. So when we did ICO of Cardano, funds were split between the three entities.
Right.
So we're then utilizing that fund together with some external funding from the ICO to really fund projects itself. We are exploring for other means, so we do collaborations with other Web3 funds to do joint ventures, to really be able to have a better deal flow, more projects have possibilities, and accelerate them in the future.
Okay, so between the three entities, how are you able to balance the governance of the blockchain while at the same time promoting decentralization? Yeah,
it's a good question. So many things that is done from a governance point of view on the blockchain itself needs each one of us three to turn our keys in order for it to move forward. But what I'm really excited about, and that is the last phase of the roadmap in Cardano, which we are currently at, which is called Voltaire.
Voltaire, like the philosopher.
Exactly. So within Voltaire, it really means that we want to take governance to a whole new level from a decentralization. One is done off-chain and one is on-chain. And this is through a new, I would say, body called Intersect. An Intersect is a membership-based organization which form part of individuals from both the founding entities but also from the community. So the idea is, while we have sort of, as I said, three entities decided about what are the tools in the protocol layer that needs to be prioritized for the next phase. Now it's up to the community to decide where do we move it forward from here. So it's a real decentralized area. And this is being done by voting. So anyone who holds an ADA can be part of this kind of process.
Okay, now that you mentioned community, so far in the interviews that I've had today, the main takeaway I have is that people love Cardano.
Yes.
The community members are really enthusiastic about the community. So why do you think that is? Why is there so much enthusiasm among ADA holders and Cardano ecosystem members?
It is a really good question. And I would say it's mostly from the philosophy that's on why Cardano was started, which is really about changing the world. So we are not looking at 1, 3, 5 year sort of timeline. We are looking 20, 30 years ahead of us. And that is something that you need to build a very robust, secure platform, safe platform for startups, but also governments as well as multinational organizations to play part of. So it's a very long-term process, and we have taken our time to build a robust ecosystem, a robust platform, a robust community, and I think everyone that has been part of that community have the same philosophy. And it's a very community-driven ecosystem, which means we support each other very well. Compared to maybe some other chains which have different kind of philosophies.
Right. I was going to ask, could we compare it to like Ethereum or Bitcoin?
Exactly. And interesting enough, I was at a Bitcoin conference just a few weeks ago in Indonesia, in Bali. And it's interesting to see how community differs. And Cardano is all about inclusion. So try to get as many people to be included into society, into financial opportunities, into job opportunities globally, where I see maybe Bitcoin is more focused on the Bitcoin side, not so much about inclusion, right? And on Ethereum side, it's been to a large extent also driven by external stakeholders' interest. Some of those are investors, which then looks at monetization angles, revenue valuations growing up, while we really focus on building a solid foundation platform, inclusion of people. And that's why a big focus on Cardano is also in developing countries and Africa, for example. Personally, I believe new technology or revolutionary technology can be easier adopted into emerging countries. And the reason for that is because there is no legacy system placed.
I see.
And you don't need to convince a lot of big companies to change their technology stack or do this and that.
Okay.
Well, now we are coming with a new...
You're not trying to integrate yourself into legacy systems. Are you just trying to solve greater issues then?
Yeah. I would say it's not so that we don't integrate the legacy system, but it's easier to start fresh with a new technology compared to looking at how do we integrate to the legacy system. A lot of these kind of bigger banks and so forth have had a technology stack that is maybe 30, 40 years old. It's a big investment, it's a big decision for them to change that technology stack to move to a new one. At the same time, I'm a firm believer that Web3 and this technology is not a replacement of the old tech stack. It's more looking at what are the problems that they face as an industry or as a company, and how can Cardano solve those kind of problems. It's not a replacement, but then at the same time, if you start fresh, you look at solutions and problems from fresh eyes, and then you can implement this much faster.
So what would you say is the gravest problem that society faces that you think that Cardano blockchain can help to solve?
Wow, that is a really, really good question. Biggest, to me, it's depending on the industries you are looking at. So again, every industry have their own use case that needs to be solved. And we can play part of solving some of those use cases, not everything. And as I said, it's not a replacement of technology. One of the bigger areas is digital identity. Is something that is very strong in Cardano itself. And a lot of people around the world might not have a identity itself. So that is a big part that we can help. There are amazing projects in the Cardano ecosystem that help building affordable housing, provide last mile delivery of internet connectivity to rural areas. And that goes back to having people to be included into the digital sphere, included into having opportunities from a financial point of view. There's a lot of countries that doesn't have credit scoring, for example. Maybe US have, Singapore has, but people don't have access to it. So
that's true.
It's a society, it's a system flaw at the moment to include people because of how the system works in those countries. As an example, there are many countries where people that want to take a mortgage on a house or take a loan, the banks are looking at it from, okay, do you have a stable income?
Right.
While they are not being paid on a monthly basis, they are paid on a daily basis based on the work they are doing.
Right.
So how do you include those into the financial system itself? It doesn't work. So Cardano is there to help those people and find new avenues to get being included. That to me is very, very, I'm really amazed by it. And that's why for me, when moving into Cardano, I looked at it from a blockchain possibility, not a crypto possibility.
I see.
So what are the impact we can do for real world use cases? That is something that drives me on a day-to-day basis.
All right. I see. So connectivity and inclusion.
Yeah.
Okay. One last question.
Yeah.
This one's a little more fun and creative.
Okay.
Since you mentioned Voltaire and we spoke about the philosophy of Cardano, got me thinking, if you could go back in time and meet with any historical figure of your choosing and introduce blockchain to them, who would it be? And how do you think it would change the world today?
Wow.
Think about it.
Anyone in history. I mean, I believe that there are amazing products, there's amazing technology that is being built and have been built for decades. It's also very important to present new technology at the right time. Otherwise, it doesn't get the same kind of attraction that it could have been done. It's the same thing with operating a startup. If you're having a new business idea and so forth, you have to have a good business idea, but you also have to be right in time to present it. Certain products are being presented, but because you're not right in time, it doesn't fly. So when it comes to that, I think one of the individuals that I look up to and I think is really amazing is, of course, the Steve Jobs, founder of Apple. I think having him being involved in the process of driving blockchain, and that is relatively close to where we are today, he probably could have made amazing things in during this period of time and the future during his time.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. All right, well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.